What's up guys, Doomsday here. Today we're back again, and in this video, I have a treat for y'all. Today, we're going to be playing some Lee Sin in the jungle. That's right, y'all heard me right. If you've been following me for a while, you know Lee Sin's not really my type of champ. It's a very different playstyle than what I'm used to, but I thought I'd work on some Lee Sin over the last couple of days just for y'all, just so I could get y'all some gameplay. And every season, I try and learn a couple new champs at least, so I can keep on getting out more gameplay and adding more different kinds of champs. And I thought it's about time that I learned Lee Sin. So to start off this match, we had an ADC Amumu that gave up first blood, which is very unfortunate. And you could just tell from this guy's name, Useless Team, that he is probably a troll, which is pretty unfortunate. And you can see him taking my jungle right now, but it's okay. We're still going to play this out. But this turned out to be a super intense match, so I thought I'd definitely share this with y'all. And I think it's really nice to be able to share what I think, just because, as I said, Lee Sin is not my type of champ. It's a very different playstyle than what I'm used to. And the first couple of matches I had on Lee Sin, probably not the best. And I'm still not the best on Lee Sin. I'm still working on it. But I think it's nice to hear what I have to say, just because I'm kind of starting from nothing to playing Lee Sin. Like, I'd never played Lee Sin until like 2 days ago. So, unfortunately, our Amumu gets executed, but it's okay. Our Karma's holding up in the solo and the duo lane by themselves. But I'm just farming up my jungle, and right now, this Nasus was just pinging me to gank his lane. He was pinging that he needs help. But something to really note if you are a solo laner is he screwed up his wave over here by pushing it in. Because now I can't even get a good angle onto this Teemo. I'm still going to gank him just to help him, because right now he's not even farming at all. And Nasus needs a little bit of farm at least to get going. So he's not even taking anything. So I'm like, I'll come and help him a bit. I probably won't be able to pick up this kill, but you can see, since he pushed in the wave, this Teemo is so close to the turret that it's just really hard to get a kill onto this. You can see if he had let Teemo push in the wave at least a little bit, I easily could have gotten that kill if they wouldn't have had the turret to retreat to, but I do that, and then I just back off over here. I at least buy him some room and reset the wave. So now the wave should crash again in the middle, but unfortunately, our Karma goes down, and this Lucian is starting to get fed, which is scary. But I see him taking my blue buff over here, and I'm on my way to rotate for this. Now, this is really key because I already got a first shop in, so I know I'll have a shop advantage over him. So I'll be a bit stronger than them. Plus, I'm a Lee Sin, so I'm able to get the blue buff at least. And then land my first ability. I see my teammates engage, and I follow up. And then I see the ignite onto him, so I don't flash after that, and I choose to save my flash. But we're able to pick up the kill over there. This Aurelia is actually level 5. I get a nice barrier from my teammates, and the root actually messed up my first ability. I thought they're going to keep on running away, but the root stopped him. And that's definitely something to consider, is following up on your teammates. So, for instance, you could always keep an eye out. If the Lux throws out a root, then you could follow up with the first ability and know that you can land it for sure. But I try and take this, but unfortunately, they lead the Lucian right into my jungle. So the Lucian kind of forces me out, and I have to reset over here. And you can see my teammates kind of annoyed. They kind of just want to get out this game. But looking at the Graves, so I know that the Graves' first rotation, he cleared his red side jungle, and then he looked to invade. So now that his red side jungle is down, he's probably just clearing his blue side. So you can see, actually, he was clearing his blue side, and now he's looking for the gank over there. So I could have looked for a counter gank over there, but sadly, my rotation was a bit slower because I got forced out by that Lucian, so wouldn't have been able to make that in time anyways. But I'm just farming up, and I'm looking for a gank onto his dual lane over here. Something to keep in mind, though, is that's kind of a hard gank in the dual lane, just because Lulu's level 5, so now I know if I do go for a gank, that Lulu ult will come out. And that's just something to consider, is I wouldn't full and commit to that, because there's a good chance that a Lulu ultimate can easily save somebody and knock me up and mess up my engage. But now I'm just taking my red buff, trying to salvage whatever jungle I can get from this Amumu. And now, I see that they're positioned pretty away from the turret in mid lane, so I actually decide I should head over there. And I check to see if there's any wardings on the way. There's nothing there, so I see that they land a good route, and I'm looking for an engage. Able to land my first ability this time, and we were able to pick up that kill, but now we gotta watch out. The Graves might be around. There's a good chance that he is, so gotta keep an eye out for that, because now he should be clearing his red side jungle, because he just cleared his entire blue side. So I see him going for this. I try and get some damage onto Lulu over here. And you can see the Lulu ult come out. And look at these autos by Lucian. That is literally 2 autos, killed my entire health bar. And now he's turret diving me, but thankfully I was able to react fast enough and pick up that kill over there. And now I'm just on the run. So maybe Amumu can pick this up, but doesn't look like he's able to catch up. But actually, that Lucian already had his first crit item. By, like, I think he'd gotten that by, like, 3 minutes, about, like, 3 minutes or 3:30, just because he gotten 3 kills, plus he had been farming freely the entire time. So he had so much gold, and he was getting such nice crits on me. Like, 2 crits, and I was pretty much done for. But I just need the Amumu go down. I'm thinking maybe I can catch out this Graves, but without ultimate, I realize I can't make anything happen. So I just go back to farming up my jungle and keep an eye on these objectives over here. Now, looking at this first dragon over here, we most likely will not be able to contest. I think the main thing we can look for is a steal if we would like, but contesting this would be hard with only 3 people without an ADC. So I see they're getting low, and I decide not to even go for the steal because I know I'm going to get crowd controlled if I jump in there. So no, I just try and see if I can bait out any ults or anything. I know Aurelia has no ult, but we still can't really win that. But once we get further into this match, I'm going to start talking about combos more and how I think people can improve their Lee Sin gameplay. And probably the best tips that I have for Lee Sin, like being also relatively new to Lee Sin. And I know, again, I'm not the best Lee Sin player. I'm sure there's plenty of other things I could be doing right, but I'm learning. I've only played like 5 games of Lee Sin. This was like my 5th or 6th game of Lee Sin. And it definitely is easier to watch than to actually play. So over here now, I'm looking to see if I can get a good combo into this Graves. I'm able to pick him up, but sadly, nobody is here to save me, and I do go down. But now, it looks like they might be positioning for that Herald. I'm just keeping an eye on it. They're able to get first turret in top lane, and now their ADC is getting super fed, and I'm getting kind of annoyed at this ADC Amumu who's just taking my entire jungle. So I think maybe I'll just call this video quits. But yeah, it was like 2 in the morning, and this was going to be my last match for the night. And I got into this match, and I was like, you know, I really don't want to do this right now. I'd rather just get this over and go to sleep with. So I was like, after that start, after they got that first turn, that extra kill, that Lucian's huge. And I was like, you know, I kind of just want to go to sleep. So I kind of just stopped recording, and I was like, you know, I'll get some Lee Sin gameplay tomorrow. But we kept on going. Gonna be farming up my red buff over here. Keep an eye on this Herald over here. Nasus already has teleport for some reason, and he teleports right on in. And I realize we have all 4 of the team members that are actually doing anything right now, so I do look for this fight over here, seeing if maybe I can land a good first ability. I landed on Aurelia, and I'm just keeping an eye out for their crowd control. Something that you should notice is look at how far spread out we are. I positioned on this side after I engage, and the reason why that's super key is because if I had lined up over here and Aurelia had ulted all of us, that would have slowed us by so much. Plus, Aurelia could have turned that around. But this is also a huge Lux ult over here, so you can see that comes in completely clutch. So we're able to try and turn onto this. We're able to pick up a couple kills over here, which is good, and able to take down the Lulu too. So now I'm just waiting for my abilities to get back off cooldown. That's a good route by the Karma, and this Lucian pops up, and this Lucian is huge, but I'm able to land a pretty quick flash kick combo on him to at least damage him enough so that the Karma can clean him up. So that's pretty good. Now this Mumu is just farming this top lane over here. So that was really good because they had all 5 there and we only had 4 people. So overall, it's a pretty decent trade. I think they got the Herald still, but still definitely worth it in my opinion. So we're able to pick up a turret over there, and that's good. I actually don't even know who has the Herald. I can't even see where the Herald is. I don't know if I'm just missing it or something, but that's okay. Now I'm just going back to my... Oh, okay, there's the Herald. Okay. Looks like the Graves did have it. And I see him pushing this mid side, but I actually look for a dive in this top lane over here. I see this Karma was going for this, and able to pick up 1 kill over here and then just back off. I don't really want to chase that Lucian super far. Need to wait for my abilities to get back off cooldown. I really need my second ability to deal with this Lucian because I need to be able to weave in and out of these fights as fast as I can. But you can see with my second ability, I'm able to chase him down. He was low enough to where I was able to get a good execute, but no, I'm just trying to get a reset before anybody comes here. This Karma is crazy. They're still staying. Let's see if they get the reset off. Thankfully, they are, but now keep an eye out on these other lanes. Nasus just doing his own thing, farming up behind turret. And now, with the next objective spawning soon, we're just looking for picks to slowly get kills. And I see that this wave is super overextended. And that's actually a really good way to tell what lanes are pretty good to gank. And I actually saw Teemo place a ward in this bush over here, so that's why I didn't run that way. But a really good way to know where to gank is by looking at the wave position. So for instance, if the wave is positioned all the way over here, this Teemo's going to be overextended. As you can, oh my gosh, I cannot talk right now. As you can see, this Teemo was overextended because of where the wave was positioned. They have to step up to farm. And by stepping up that far, they don't have the cover of their turret. And I could definitely delete a Teemo if they can't run back behind turret. So you can see me just dash over the wall. I land a good first ability and able to pick him up. Didn't even have to throw out an ultimate. But now, we're looking for this turret over here. I'm keeping an eye if anybody else rotates. Amumu's here also, clearing up the ward. And now, we're all backing off a bit. These Teemo traps, pretty obnoxious to deal with, but it's okay. Now, I still have my ultimate off cooldown, so I can look for a play if I want to make a play, but can't really do anything with the Lucian next to the turret. He's just going to dash behind turret, and I'm probably going to die. But now I'm pinging him because I see him rotating through this mid lane over here, so I try and help my team. I try and at least get the Lulu, but I kind of just get deleted there. That was definitely a bad engage. I was just trying to honestly just help my teammates back off while they can, but went in a bit too deep. I probably should have just scared him off and then left. But now, farming up. Keep an eye on these lanes. This is Mumu still farming up my golems over here, and I'm probably going to head over to blue side when I respawn, I'm assuming, because almost none of my red side's left, only my red buff is. Plus, the dragon is spawning, so I can at least head this way. But now I have my Trinity Force, which is pretty big, so this is probably when Lee Sin's strongest, when you have your first two items. He starts to hit really hard around the mid game. So now I'm going to be looking to see if I can get any good catch-outs. And one of the biggest tips that I have on Lee Sin is to always keep in mind what you have off cooldown. By that, I mean like Flash and Protobelt are really, really important if you do buy Protobelt. But now, I see this team over here. I'm able to get a good burst, and I back off. And you can see I'm kind of just distracting them. Like, they're trying to get onto me, and sadly, this Teemo had stasis. I did not see that Teemo had stasis, but we're still able to trade that pretty evenly. And in my opinion, trading right now is a win, because we definitely shouldn't be winning fights right now, but that went pretty well, I'd say. I definitely should have checked to see if the Teemo had stasis. That's a big mistake that I made, is I didn't check the scoreboard beforehand, and that could really, really screw you over, as it did if you didn't see. But now they're on this dragon over here. Karma's going for a good engage. Sadly, they didn't get the root, and the enemy is able to secure the dragon, but maybe they're able to pick up a kill or two here. Oh my gosh, they're all one shot. Not really one shot, but one ability away. This Karma, oh, if he would have just autoed the Graves once, he could have cleaned that up. But now I'm trying to see if I can get any good cleanup over here. I'm able to get this Lulu. I make sure to use my second ability before my first ability. That way I don't accidentally miss it. But now I see this Lucian here, and I know I have my Protobelt off cooldown. So I'm looking to see if I can wrap around. Have my second ability also, so able to dive that and pick that up. And now this Graves is trying to chase me down, but I have my ultimate, and a really key thing to do here is I want you to watch this combo. So I know that this Graves is probably going to keep on chasing me, and we can see him chasing. He lands a good ultimate, but I make sure to land my first ability before I use my ultimate, and I get as much burst down. And the reason for that is if I ultimate Graves first and I don't throw my first ability, Graves will probably just use his dash ability and dodge it, and that could go really, really wrong. But something else that you could do is you don't want to use your dash if not possible. That's one of the biggest things I'll say about Lee Sin, is if you don't need to use your dash, don't use it. Just because the cooldown did get nerfed, and it is a bit longer, but it's still a super important ability to have. And without a dash, Lee Sin loses so much mobility. So now, me and this Amumu, we're both trying to get this camps over here. Trying to see how much we can get. I just recently let Amumu have this camp. Maybe you can get some gold and be useful later. So I just choose to reset and go over to my red side, because that's probably better. But now I'm slowly starting to rack up kills one by one. Although it was a rough early game with them being super fed, I'm starting to catch back up and starting to reach my power spikes, which is pretty big. But now I have my Flash and Protobelt off cooldown again. And that's really huge, because one thing about Lee Sin is you need to be fast with your abilities and your combos. And knowing what you have off cooldown and how you can escape, already having it planned out, is really the biggest thing. So no, if I choose to go for an engage or a flash or like a kick or something, I'm going to proto build out most likely afterwards if they try and burst me down. So now I see that they're probably going to chase this Nasus. I don't know why this Nasus is still out here, but I'm trying to see if I can save him. I just try and land a good kick to try and knock him off of Nasus, but Nasus does go down and able to pick up a kill over there. I'm able to deal a bunch of burst damage and they are backing off, but now me and this Karma trying to chase him down. I get a good proto build in, and now I still have my flash off cooldown, so that's something that I'm keeping in mind. As if I do want to look to dive this, I can. But trying to wrap around, I don't want to be caught in a bad spot, so I still have this and don't even have to flash out, actually. So I still save my flash. Gotta watch out for the Graves ult. That's a really good Karma barriers, actually, to where the Graves ult didn't kill anybody. Trying to see if maybe I should go for this. I follow up on the engage and able to pick that up. So as I was saying, that's really key to follow up on your teammates' engages. If they get a stun or a root, you can land a free first ability, and that's super key. And another part is when you do use your first ability, so the second part of your first ability, the dash part, is an execute, meaning that the lower health the enemy is, the more damage it's going to deal. So what you want to do is you want to deal as much damage as you can before you use the second part of that first ability. And that's why in a lot of my combos, you'll see that I throw out my first ability and then I'll, for instance, use my third ability or auto attack him a couple times before I use my first ability. And that's because I'm trying to get him as low as I can before I use the second part of my first ability. Since that'll essentially make it to where it'll deal the most amount of damage. But now I'm just farming up. I'm waiting for my stuff to get back off cooldown, and now just pushing this top wave. I know we can't go for a full 5-on-5 team fight just because they have the more fed ADC. They have a Lulu ultimate, and that can go really poorly. So now I'm pinging them on my way. I see that they use their Herald, and now I'm trying to make it so this Herald doesn't get a single hit, but force the Lucian away. I didn't see this Teemo here, but try to proto build. I am able to pick him up, and I'd flash a bit to safety. Now I still just dash away, and you can see the power of Lee Sin there. Even though that Lucian is pretty far ahead of everybody else. Look at all these traps over here and wards and everything. That's pretty good sweeper. Cleaning out all this, that would have been bad to walk on. Pretty much just playing it slow. I think a big mistake that a lot of people make on Lee Sin is they think he's an early game champ and that you have to push it super hard in the first couple of minutes, and then they force fights which they don't win instead of taking smart fights. So now this Nasus ult, pretty big. I'm able to land a good first ability, and I choose not to dive that without flash or anything. If I dive in there, I'm just going to go down, so gotta be a bit careful. Oh, please tell me I don't go in here. Okay, I get a couple barriers, and then I go in. So that's... Ooh, I should have dashed the other way, actually. That was a mistake on my part. I definitely could have lived that, I think, if I would have dashed this way towards my teammates. I think that I probably could have gotten an extra barrier or something from either the Lux or the Karma. But yeah, my teammates kind of baited me there. I got a couple of barriers, and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I can get a kill here. But this Lucian's damage is pretty nasty. This Amumu is actually able to track down that Lucian, which is really well played. That's pretty good. But yeah, this Lucian still deals so much damage. Just his crits and everything are huge. Like 3 to 4 auto attacks from Lucian, and I'm pretty much dead. So Lucian's really the biggest one left to be concerned with. And if I can catch Lucian off guard, like, that's who I want to burst down out of anybody. But now this Nasus teleports in. I'm on the way back, and I can actually buy teleport boots if we do decide to rush this. That's something that you can do. Buy teleport boots and teleport in, but I realize that we probably can't even rush this over here because they still have the Lucian and everything, so I'm pinging them on the way. My teammates aren't even really attacking the dragon, so we should drop this probably. But now this Teemo is just clearing the bot wave. Hopefully that can get the turret. That does not look like it will, but that's pretty good. I'm on my way to the dragon, and I see that Teemo's on the bot side, and they still have the Lucian dead. And without the Lucian, this is actually a pretty good fight in my opinion. So the Amumu goes for an engage. We kind of just let him do his own thing, and I secure the dragon in the meantime. So that's a pretty good trade if Amumu wants to do that. Gonna have to back off here. That was a really big Aurelia ult. You can see what happens when Aurelia lands that ultimate is you just get slowed down so much. And now I see this Aurelia caught out. I know they don't have ultimate, so try and get onto him. And again, that stasis gets me, so try and pick him up. I'm only able to pick up 1 kill, but at least I'm able to force out a stasis and some other things. Now, this Nasus definitely needs to run. He's literally one shot. But for my last items, I end up just going, after my Guardian Angel and Sterix Gauge, I end up going Death Stance just because I didn't really need armor penetration this game since none of them are super tanky. And I also don't really need much hardcore defense. There isn't really many defense items that I can get. So Death Stance is overall a pretty solid choice because you get some armor, which is really important against them because they have 3 AD champs. Plus, you get the passive from it, which is really nice with Lee Sin. So Death Stance works really, really nice with champs that have healing abilities. So for instance, Olaf or Lee Sin, it works super well just because that Death Stance reduces damage and it makes that damage taken over time instead of instantly. So in that time that that damage is still ticking, that should have happened right away, you could heal up with your second ability and stuff like that. And you can get barriers from your teammates in the meantime. So that's why it's so good when you have those kinds of teammates that can give barriers and when you can get heals and stuff. So now I'm just clearing out all these over here. I'm not messing with these Teemo ults. Nothing is more obnoxious than the Teemo ults. Maybe other than the Gragas smoke. Or not the Gragas smoke, the Graves smoke. That might actually be comparable. But I'm just pushing out this wave over here. I know they're all positioned over here, but I should be able to get out if they do try and collapse. But I actually see this Lulu kind of caught out, so I kind of whiffed my first ability actually, but there's the Teemo stasis. They flash out, and we're at least able to force out a decent amount, and now we can look for a fight if we want. But something that I really want to emphasize this match, and the only reason why we're still in this match is because although we were losing hardcore in the early game, they were all super fed and everything, we didn't force any objectives. So we literally gave up both the first dragons, both the first heralds, and we didn't take large team fights at them. And that's just super key because the mistake that a lot of people make, especially in the diamond tier, I'd say, is they really try and force objectives when they don't need to. And that can screw your team over super badly. So now, our Nasus is running him down. You can see how tanky this Nasus is. He makes for a pretty good front line, but chasing down this team over here, and you can see how fast I'm able to flash out. So now I see him get a couple stuns, and I decide to follow up. I do get my Guardian Angel popped, but I should still be able to get out of this, I think. Yep. I'm actually able to pop Aurelia's Guardian Angel, and now I kind of just leave because I'm too low and I'm not messing with that. I actually grabbed the fruit and I look to see if I can head back in, but looks like Amumu's starting to get a bit tanky also. So with only Lulu up, I look for a play over here. I know I have my ultimate off cooldown. I try and sneak by so they don't have vision of me, and I just ult him and I'm able to delete him there. So that's really good. But as I was saying, the big thing is really that we just didn't force large team fights early on when we didn't need to. So I started attacking the Nexus and I realized, actually we probably cannot end. So I just look for another inhib turret and back off over here. So although we gave up all the first objectives, we didn't commit suicide like every single team fight and just run it down. Because that's how you give the enemy a gold lead, and that's how they snowball. It's really not the losing the objective that loses people games. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's just the bad fights that the junglers choose to take. And especially as a jungler, you have that kind of power as to what fights to take and what not. So that's just something which you need to be cautious about as a jungler. But now, notice something that I did. Look at my items. Notice what item is gone. And the answer is the Guardian Angel. So my Guardian Angel just got popped in that last fight. And I have plenty of gold. You can see I have 20,000 gold in all. I have 3,000 gold in my pocket at full build. So really, Guardian Angel is just useful for its passive. That is the main part about the Guardian Angel is you get your second life. And that is huge. But once that passive gets procced, Guardian Angel isn't that good of an item, honestly. So I actually see this team over here. I'm able to land a good first ability and able to track him down. He just flashes away. He goes invis and flashes away, which is okay. We're able to force out a good amount. But I see him trying to chase me down. I land a good first ability. He flashes too, but you can see I could just chase him down also. So now I still have my flash and proto built. So I'm keeping an eye out for Aurelia ult here. That's what I'm being most careful about. So you can actually see that's actually why I Protobolt back, was because I knew that Aurelia was going to try and capitalize on that. And again, I kind of whiffed my first ability. That Luxord keeps on throwing me off because it makes him stop moving. But that Amumu gets a good stun, and I just flash and follow up on that. I couldn't throw my first ability from far away just because the minions were in the way and my second ability was off cooldown. But now, we're going to keep on pushing these lanes over here. I see them over here fighting it out. I have my ultimate back off cooldown in a couple seconds. So, try and make a play for this. This might have been a mistake. I should have just waited for my ultimate. That was a mistake. That's a bit unfortunate. Little bit of a throw, but should be alright. We got 2 inhibs. We're starting to pull out a small gold lead, so looking pretty good overall. But as I was saying, you can sell that Guardian Angel once you use up the passive, because it's almost useless. Like, once you use the passive, now you can see me buying it back. I just bought it back right when the passive is about to come off cooldown, so now I just have to wait 20 seconds to get it back. And that means when I respawn, I'm going to have that Guardian Angel. But in the meantime, you could have just sold it and gotten something useful, such as Randuin's Omen. The reason why I got that is because it's the Lucian that's deleting me mostly. So by getting Randuin's, I could at least survive a decent amount. Plus, it reduces enemy attack speed, so I could survive the Aurelia a bit better also. So now they have to reset there. They weren't able to get anything. Oh, and actually, I'd bought teleport boots. If in case they were going to try and do this Baron over here, then I would have just teleported over. So I bought teleport boots, and then because that didn't work out, I just sold them again. But actually, I sold my Protobelt for stasis at this point in the game, because I realized that stasis is more useful now. Protobelt is really nice in the mid game, but now in these big team fights, Protobelt isn't as good really, and it can be huge. But in my opinion, I think stasis will be more useful when I go diving in super deep for ultimates and stuff. Stasis will definitely help me survive because I can definitely just survive for a couple seconds until my teammates can catch up. So now I'm looking for this Graves over here. Our Nasus teleports into Baron for some reason. I don't really know why, because that shows the enemy, like, it shows the enemy where you're teleporting to, so they could see that, like, we're teleporting to Baron. So now I land a good ultimate over there. I wait for him to flash. That's actually something really key. So notice how I didn't use my first ability right away again. And now I'm able to pick up that kill, and I just stasis. I still have my Guardian Angel, and now we're tracking him down over here. I see this Lucian, able to chunk him down. Our teammate is able to clean him up, and still my Guardian Angel up. So I can still look for a solid play. And we're able to pretty much team wipe them. They're still 2 up, but we should be able to end with that. But that was really, really good on my part, as when going for ganks and stuff, when you land the first part of your first ability, it's really, really important to keep in mind if they have flash or not. Because actually, what you could do is you can hold the second part of your first ability until they flash, as I did there against the Graves. So I threw out my first ability, I dashed onto him, I did some damage, and I knew that they were going to flash away or dash away, because Graves does have a dash. So I waited for them to dash. Then when they dashed, then I used the second part of my first ability to gap close. Because if I'd used my first ability just twice right away, I'd dash to him, and then Graves flashed away, I wouldn't have a good way of getting back onto him. So really, gap closing with Lee Sin is super, super key against enemies that have a dash. So for instance, you could do that against Lucian too. If you land a first ability, you could wait for Lucian to use his dash and then use your first ability again and stay onto him. But you can see this game definitely ended up working out. Definitely not the best start or the best ADC Amumu, but we're able to make it through. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below for more Lee Sin gameplay, and I'll see y'all in the next video.